a man that I respect and a man that I admire and a man that a lot of people look up to, knowing that you didn't know what you wanted to do makes me feel a lot better that I don't know what I want to
I still don't know.
do. But before that, you mentioned something that I can't step over, which is you took a year off and you went and you traveled and you went and you saw the world. And I want to highlight it for myself because it's something I'm about to do. And I'm just wondering, what did you know, what called you to do that? Because a lot of people would say, hey, Jesse, there's a lot of sacrifices you're going to have to make if you go travel for a year. Imagine all of the X, Y, Z things you could be doing with your time and the network you could be making and the money you could be making and your career growth, all of that is being stunted. How did you deal with that? Maybe you didn't have that in your life because I definitely have that right now.
Yep.
How did you deal with those things and how did you make the decision regardless? And what'd you get out of that first travel experience?
Um, well, I mean, I've always been a person that like kind of flies by this, like beats to their own drum, flies by the seat of
Yeah.
their own pants. Like, the email as an example. Like, I just do things. And my family has never put too much pressure on me to like do certain things. It's,
Yeah.
one part of my family that I think is really strong is like they have supported me throughout to just say, dude, like they believe in me and wherever I'm headed. They've very rarely said, wait, what about this risk? What about
Mm.
this risk? And I feel really fortunate for that. I kind of I traveled by accident a little bit in that like I went to Australia. I was going to spend a few months in Australia. It just so happens that, and the reason for the travel was I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was that person graduating like a lot of people from an
What a great idea. You don't
arts
know what you want to
degree.
do? Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I graduated from philosophy.
That's cool, man.
Like I didn't
My
know I
roommate's a philosophy major.
it's a fun one, and actually I credit philosophy for a lot of the way my success in work now, like my way of thinking about things and that sort of thing. But I had no idea. I was considering going back to school to do my PhD in philosophy. I was considering going back to high school to get my science credits to be a vet. I considered being a pilot. I like literally
He had
every.
options.
I mean, none of them were real options. I wasn't qualified to do any of them. But I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing, so why don't I go travel and work? And so I went to Australia. My friends were there, just so happened to be there. I lived with them for about a month, and then they were going to travel up the coast. And I was like, you know what? I'll put off working. I saved up money before I left. Let's travel up the coast with them. We did the east coast of Australia. Then they were going to New Zealand, and I was like, I was just having such a blast with a group of 5 guys that were just the perfect group of guys to travel together, all very independent. We did our own thing. We did things together. And no one got upset when people didn't want to do a certain thing. You just go do it, do whatever you want.
Hmm.
And then they were going to Southeast Asia. And then I had like a reckoning where I was like, and I just felt like I was going to miss out on not being with them, but just on something I didn't want to miss out on. I was like, this is going to be a blast. And so I ended up traveling for a year through Australia,
So
New
cool.
Zealand, Southeast Asia, England, Morocco, like all over the
Wow.
place. And then when I got back to London at the end is when that I sent that email and that sort of thing. So it's no regrets. My only regret is not doing it for longer. It was such a special time in my life. I made such special bonds. I'm still friends with people that I spent one day with on a trip. And at that point, I didn't travel solo very much. I was always with people. And then later on, when I went to work, I happened to be in a job in November where we got to shut down for a month every year. So I went away
That's
mostly
cool.
by myself for a month every year and got to know solo traveling, which also to me is like the best thing that maybe not for everybody, but for me, it
Mm.
was a huge learning of just how much I love being with myself and how refreshing it is.
I appreciate you taking the time to discuss that because, I've done, I don't know how many Jack Talks now, but I've been into dozens and dozens and dozens of schools. And the intention is to talk to youth about their mental health. And one of the things that always comes up is, Jonathan, like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And they put a lot of young people put a lot of pressure on themselves to know what they need to do for the rest of their life right now. And so seeing you as someone who's, grown into, a man that I respect and a man that I admire and a man that a lot of people look up to, knowing that you didn't know what you wanted to do makes me feel a lot better that I don't know what I want to
I still don't know. I still don't. Like,
do.
I've been flying by the seat of my pants my whole life. My like, when I'm doing something, do it really well. Do it to hold myself to standards. So this is for me, and again, not going to work for everybody, but I try to hold myself to standards that are higher than anyone else will hold themselves to while I'm doing the thing I'm doing. And like, when the time is there that it's not for me anymore, I'm going to know it, and I'm going to move on and find that next best thing. But it's not the ultimate destination of like, where do I want to go? Where I want to go is I want to be accomplishing impactful and really cool things that excite me in the moment and really enjoy it while I'm doing it. And when I've gotten to the point where I'm not growing anymore and I'm not challenged, or a new exciting opportunity is there, I'll take that on. But like, it's school teaches us that like, professional jobs are the only jobs. You're a lawyer, you're a doctor, you're a plumber, those are the only things. And I wish school did a better job of like, I didn't know what a marketing agency was when I graduated. That's wild. You're graduating from arts, you should know what that is. But even just knowing that if you go to school for arts, like, the world is your oyster. You can go into anything, um, and you don't need to know where you're headed in 10 years.
Yeah, Alan Watts has this great quote that my roommate Ian and I just love. It's sit or walk as you will, but do not wobble. And it's like people are wobbling through life, like, should I do, it's like, where, like you said, wherever you were in it, and you were
Yeah,
holding yourself to a high standard, whatever it was, you were doing it. And that inspires me, man. It's like, wherever I am, be there.
absolutely. And it allows you to enjoy it too. Like, you're not going to enjoy it if you're wobbling, if you will.